Not so hot. Not so hot. I'm not talking about me. I'm feeling pretty good. But weather-wise, we're looking a little gray. We're looking as some of those over in London might say, it's a bit moorish. It's a little bit whatever. A little wet out. But you know what? That's good. That's a good change of pace. The last thing I want anywhere when it comes to like where I live would be just straight up the same weather on repeat. You know, not cool. Sometimes you gotta get hit with some crazy shit. You know, anybody in at this point everywhere, at least stateside, like it used to be. You know, the last time there was snow in Texas was in like 2003 or something, or like California or whatever. Everywhere's getting hit pretty crazy now, right? So you gotta. It's a good metaphor. You gotta be ready when shit goes down. You're not expecting. You know, keep you on edge. Make sure you know you're alive. Obviously, a little rain is nothing, but you know, I'm talking like wild ass snowstorms come later, maybe December, January, that sort of stuff, right? But either way, plan for today with arms. I'm not totally sure. I'm not totally certain. I've gone through my paces of what I know arm workout wise to do, and I've got a few standards. I'm talking straight up all of triceps, all of biceps. And there's two versions of that where you start all of biceps, then all of triceps. Pretty basic. You know, you're in bicep mode, you're doing all curls. When you're done, you're in tricep mode, do all your push downs, all your whatever. It's a pretty reasonable approach. It makes a ton of sense. But with arms, I mean, you know, I want them both to be pumped up at the same time. So the best version of that is supersetting, right? So, not even supersetting, but more so doing alternating sets. So I'm talking do a set of push downs, wait a minute, do a set of curls, wait a minute, do a set of push downs, wait a minute, whatever, back and forth for the whole lift. So that at the end of it, your whole arm is completely pumped all at once. I lean into workouts like that when I'm dieting, just because you know, if I'm not so full of carbs, it's not as easy to hold on to that fullness and that kind of pumpedness for as long. It's the pump is fleeting when you're dieting, so that's when even the lifts themselves just get a little bit faster paced and quicker. There's just no need to sit and rest for 3 minutes if all you did was, you know, set of 50s for 15, you know, or something along those lines. Insert your weight accordingly, and then, you know, a little bit of an in between the two, where it's like do 3 push downs, or 3 sets of triceps, 3 sets of biceps, 2 sets of triceps, 2 sets of triceps, 1 set of biceps, 2 sets of tris, whatever, back and forth, and then finish with a little combo at the end. And you know, you might think, okay, well, that's 4 totally different ways to even do an arm workout. Which one's better? And it's the answer is a little bit hidden, right? It's what I think the answer to be is that none of them are specifically better, right? It's just going to change up depending on your preference. And for me, I want to change it up and do different stuff. I mean, even go to different. There's days where I never go to the same gym twice in a row, or there's weeks where I never go to the same gym twice in a row, just to change it up because I know this place has these machines or has this music or just has like a certain environment that I want to see. You know, like even though I've got the whole gym set up now, I'm not just going to hide away there, right? Because I like the community aspect of it as well. But it's everything, you know. There's not one way to do it. There's not one best way to do it. You know, we're not doing a friggin' math problem here. It's a little bit more complicated. But yeah, with arms tonight, I think we'll have to see. Just have to see. And I'll be able, once I start warming up and kind of loosening up my shoulders and everything, that'll give me a little bit of an idea of how I want it to look. Maybe today is, you know, no holds barred, extra crazy heavy day. Or maybe I go in and I decide, ooh, today is going to be a little bit more chill, lighter, squeezing, burning day. You know, or maybe some kind of combination in between where it's like a couple heavy sets, a couple light squeezing ones. It's, I think how I could put it is after every set, you can sort of begin to notice any deficits or anything that you missed during that set, which you can now hit on the next one. So let's say I did a crazy heavy set of dumbbell bench, and I just did maybe 2 or 3 before. Well, now, you know, I just clearly had a ton of tension, a ton of mechanical load on my chest, but Okay, what have I not been doing on those sets? Well, I haven't been doing anything really stretch focused with a good hard squeeze at the top. And with that kind of change, well, I think it just ends up in a good lift. Because then, if you do a few light squeezing sets, you've got a cue to move on and do a couple heavier, harder ones, or any combination of the three, or of the. Well, there's not even a specific number. Any combination of whatever, right? A power lifter or a lot of powerlifting coaches, or really big respected voices in the space, are going to say never start a workout with the same movement twice. Always change it up. Always give yourself a different whatever. And they're going to go as crazy to say it's like that workout will not work if you start with the exact same movement twice. And I think that they don't really mean that, but they're just saying that as an incentive to instill the importance that to have stale workouts, to have workouts where you go in, you do the exact same routine, it's just not going to work, And what I mean is, sure, you can probably have a good workout if you repeat it the next time, but it even extends beyond just the actual stimulus side of things, and it gets into what are you doing, man? Are you repeating the exact same week every freaking week of the year? No, you want to be different. You want to be a different guy at the end of the year than you were in the beginning. And it's not just going to happen in one instance. It's very gradual. So with the workouts, at least for me, if you can keep it interesting, it's going to make it easier to keep it fun. And then it's going to make it easier to keep it consistent. And then before you know it, you're the freaking dude at your gym. There's gyms where you might not be the dude. When I started working out, there was no chance I was going to be the dude, because there was this one guy named Noah. I think you can look him up. His name's Noah the Fox on Instagram. And I'm a 160 pounder at the time. This is 6-7 years ago or so. And he had to be at minimum 260. And I've been 260. This was a different 260. Probably 270, 280. I don't know. We never really talked because he was a different... we were just in different groups at the time. It wasn't that kind of conversation. But just seeing him was nuts, because the guy was repping 4 plates on flat, and it was manageable. For me, 315 for incline bench, I'm not going to do flat. That's manageable. If I'm strong, I can probably do a 20 rep set. That'd be a really strong off-season day. But that would be a manageable weight. It's heavy, but I can actually do it. 4 plates, that's too much. I can move it around a little. That doesn't really count, though. 4 plates was a working set weight for the Fox. It was freaking nuts, But right, the perspective is much different now. Obviously, I don't think I think I'm super tall too, so different levels of whatever. But at the time, shit, man, I'm not going to see that and get discouraged by how far ahead somebody is. If anything, it just get me freaking amped up to see somebody being a total beast. Because when he walked into the gym, people got serious, I think. Or at least I did. Maybe people didn't and nobody else cared. But for me, when he showed up, or if he was hitting a set, he's kind of a mean mugger kind of guy style, where it's hood on, music on. I don't think I ever saw him play on his phone. He must have had a playlist set up for the workout beforehand. And then just getting after it, So that's not something I actually ever thought that I wanted to be in the moment. But to have that kind of effect where you're so serious about working out that you don't even have to walk in and act serious. You don't even have to walk in and make a fuss that you're there. When the real freaking beasts walk into the room, people notice. People notice, and I think it feeds positively, because then people get a little bit more serious about their own shit. Because it'll become something where it's is it ever up in the air? Is it ever in question whether or not so-and-so is going to be getting after it if you see him in the gym? No. And when there are those real life examples that you get to see it, maybe the hole-in-the-wall gym you got, or maybe you go to, maybe you're born and raised in freaking LA, California, you're going to Gold's Gym as your home gym, and you get to see all the craziest, celebrity bodybuilder, everybody show up, just to take their energy and just the energy that they provide when they walk into the room and try to not extract it, but just collect it and feed it into your own stuff. there's really nothing better, right? We're talking Nikola Tesla. There's untapped energy just flying through the air across the world. If you can somehow tune into it, leverage it, and then refuel it into your working sets, well, before you know it, you might be that guy giving off that energy to somebody else. And then we're talking chain reaction, right? Not to get scientific at the end of that, but yeah, I hadn't thought about I haven't thought about him for a while. That was back when he was 160 pounds, Sam. Even just thinking about that's getting me freaking excited. So let's just go tear it up. I have decided. I know what today calls for. Not straight up triceps, not straight up biceps. I'm talking a little bit of a combination in between. But not exactly a supersetted workout either, because that's going to draw the question, okay, if I do a set of pushdowns and then with no rest immediately do a set of curls, am I compromising the set of curls? Because I didn't give myself enough, of a breath to actually catch and get my heart rate back down to like maybe, I don't know what my base workout heart rate is, because it's like baseline's here, peak set is probably up here, and then between sets is probably somewhere in the middle. But I want to get back to that middle range where I've taken a breath and I say, okay, I'm ready. And then hit another one. But either way, it's going to end up being set of pushdowns, breathe for a little bit, set of curls, repeat. So the first combination, and this is a little bit of a choice I have to make specifically because I'm dieting. Because, I feel like I could load up a ton of weight on a pushdown. But even doing the stack right now with relatively cold triceps and elbows, I can just kind of feel it, So, actually, I'm going to go a little bit lighter than I thought I was going to go and start with a squeezing set of pushdowns. So the hard part isn't moving the weight. The hard part is getting to the bottom, really trying to pull my arms kind of obviously down, but also back and out, kind of in this rotating motion is what I imagine. Because for me, that lets me get a ton of long head, right? Your tricep has two basic parts of this sort of horseshoe shape. The sort of smaller one up here, and then the bigger long one down here, right? If you're doing like a close grip bench, you're gonna feel more of that long head. And that's what gives your tricep its size. Obviously, this adds to its, adds to the mystique in terms of having extra detail. But the real brunt of it, like if somebody hits a crazy pose and their arm is hanging off, that's because they got a big long head. And I've gradually started to feel it more with the rope by instead of just having it, kind of pushing out here, like light pumpish work, really getting into a deep stretch on top and actually feeling it at the bottom. It's not just arbitrarily because do a deep stretch, it's good. Like I really do feel my long head specifically kind of get extra activation. So for me, that was kind of my eureka moment where now I think I'm much more effective with the rope than I used to be. But next, let's be a heavy ass set of dumbbell curls. But I don't want to think about that until this set's over. Oh my goodness. Oof. All right. Yeah, give me a second. Now we're going to set a heavy curls going. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. All right, the next one does not have to be that heavy. That was good though. That was a dirty one. That was getting a little dirtier than maybe I'd recommend. But back to push down. Let's just keep this combo. Rope, dumbbells. Okay. All right, I think 2 of those is actually just enough. Let's do one more heavy dumbbell curl. And now I can pick a whole new combination. What would you do? Are you more of a push down preacher guy? We'll see. Give me a moment. Okay. All right. I'm really not totally sure what I'm going to do next. I'll think and I'll decide, but in this current moment, the gym is my oyster to be unshucked. All right, I think I've set something up that's at least a first for me. So pull down, or no, what I'm saying, push down, of course, but the stack's a little light. So how do I adjust it? How do I make it a little bit heavier? Add a band. Add a freaking band to the stack, kind of jerry-rigged, kind of whatever. But now I get regular base load, but as the range of motion gets closer to the bottom and I get stronger, the weight will also get heavier. So it's kind of got that, it's got an increasing strength profile. Let's see how many I can get. Okay. I mean, that kind of worked. That was a good set. I'm not going to do that again. Let me pick a curl, though. I'm taking that rubber band off. We'll just do a straight set for the next one. Let's do a little more controlled movement with a cable preacher. And if you've got a gym where you can move a standard free weight preacher bench around and you don't have a preacher machine, this will pretty much put you in luck. But instead of being a heavy, nasty set over there, much lighter, very intentional. I want the top of every rep to have an extra squeeze as though I can bend my arm into itself, right? I can't, but that's like my visualization training to try to get a little bit more out of each one. Okay. One more of each of those. Okay, let's get back to a curl. Oh my goodness. All right, let's pick another pair. I know I want to do incline drag style dumbbell curls, but for triceps, I'm not totally sure. Yeah, this will be perfect. So instead of a heavy conventional push down, one thing I really like is getting two cables, kind of 45 degrees to each other-ish. Grab them kind of here, and then you're doing this sort of slashing feeling. And it's close to a push down, because obviously I'm pushing down and out, but it's just a different load. So I'm only doing 40 pounds, literally like 20%. Actually, no, what am I talking about? 20%. Maybe 15, 18% or whatever of what I was really doing for those heavy push downs. So the whole point here, same as with the rope, but even to a higher degree, the burning of the squeeze. And every time I get to the top and squeeze it, that's when I feel my triceps get more and more swollen and weak and fatigued and just worked. So these will be good. And then a little cable trick, you put the pin lower in like the center column, and then the cable will be much further from the edge. If you're somebody who is potentially vertically challenged, or I mean, I see girls do this a lot when they're doing a pull down, they'll do this exact same thing, pull it out so you got like, you know, however much of here you need, and then if you can still hit your working weight, you don't have to stand up on the pull down pad, right? Whether that helps or not as a piece of intel, whatever. All right. Yeah. Ooh. Let's get some drag curls going now. Very similar logic with this kind of curl compared to that rope extension or cable. Yeah, shit, I mean, that really is a cable extension. is, well, this is more balance. This is more squeeze and stretch. Because it's like, if my bicep ties in up here around my shoulder, like way in this joint, for me to hold dumbbells, obviously stretch position, but to lean back and essentially like have them be really pulling, unless I round over and I'm kind of holding dumbbells like this, it's still crazy tension through my biceps. So there's no break. There's no break during this set. So either wild stretch where you're still in tension, or obviously crazy squeeze where you're squeezing. But no need for the 80s. The 50s will suffice, I believe. And as an execution tip, and I'm not saying I'm a pro at these or anything, try to keep your palms up as much as possible. If not, even like turned almost around so that your pinky is the highest finger. Oy. Okay. Oh. There we go. Yeah, one more of these. Okay. All right. Yeah, one more of those dumbbell curls, and I think, I'm not sure what I think, but I think we're getting close to pumped. I can say that for sure. Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh. Holy crap. All right, I think I've got one more superset in me, but then I think we're gonna be pumped and we'll be set for a badass pose down. All right, I feel like biceps are actually done, but tries could use one more little helping of just pumpedness. So, full stack, just quick, hard reps. Squeeze at the bottom, but not a holding squeeze, if you follow. Ooh, okay. Yeah, let's find some lights. Arms complete. All right. Yeah, that was good. So not the wildest arm day. There's a little bit of an extra something with those band, or I guess you can say not even band assisted, just banded pushdowns. But apart from that, curls, preacher curls, dumbbell curls. Like, was any of that really wild? And to that I say not really. But how would I grade this workout on a subjective basis? Even kind of objective basis, I'd say it was pretty freaking good. So it's not always a math equation of doing the perfect curl and the most effective activating whatever. Like, look, have you really had a whole team of, kinesiologists, physical scientists come out and put probes all over your triceps to feel if you really activate your tricep the most in that movement versus this movement? If you have, I'm going to take your word a little bit more seriously, right? And I'll actually listen. That's just kind of interesting anyway. But just to take somebody's word for that, it's not really, I don't think that's something that you should just immediately listen to what anybody else would say. Do the movements that you feel the most, but let's see how we're looking here. Ooh. Oh my goodness. It's freaking hard to hold a vacuum, at least, immediately post lift. But yeah, honestly, we're getting somewhere. There we go. Oh. Oh my goodness. But yeah, that was solid. Not even a crazy amount of carbs, but arm-wise, I feel super pumped up. So all that tells me is this diet is going at least reasonably well. Well, once I end up getting a little bit more, let's just say once I start feeling some more diet fatigue, that might change. All right, energy levels may dip a touch, but you know what? That's the whole freaking point. So let's freaking roll, get back in the car. Yeah, that was good. That was a good one. That was, we're getting there. But right now is still phase 1 of the diet because visually, I'm not exactly much leaner yet. I'm not walking around with those cuts, but they're coming. I know they're on their way, and it will only be a matter of a short amount of time until they actually are revealed. You know what I'm saying? So that makes me excited, right? That gives me a little bit of it's not even hope, because I know it's just the process that's kind of underway. And a lot of people can't handle it. A lot of people cannot handle it. We've seen, and by handle, I mean just don't have a good balance of like determination and want versus don't want, which really kind of controls whether or not anyone does anything at any given time ever. Do I want to do it versus how much do I not want to do it, right? And usually things are pretty basic. Do I want to kick my pinky toe into the corner of a coffee table? No, I'm not going to do it. Right? That's a basic one. It gets a little more complicated when it's something you want to do, but then you just don't get after, right? So I'm talking, I think everybody would love to be in pretty good shape, or even just in decent shape, or like back into the shape that they were when they were younger or whatever. I think that desire, that baseline want, is pretty much there for everybody, right? But how much of that want is counteracted, and weighed out by a don't want to do everything that goes along with it. I'm talking the cardio, I'm talking calories, I'm talking, even just something as simple as tracking somebody's steps in the day and trying to get more steps. We're going to see it in only a few short months, cue January 1st, which I love the idea that there are things throughout the year pretty much, Summer's over, time for school. Nobody's running around shirtless because it's getting colder. Let's lock into a bulk. New Year's, let's start working out at all. Spring break, let's diet down, get lean, and then kind of a repeat spring break of not to have a little stutter session there, but summertime, usually things get a little more lax. All right, I got some more free time, let's start working out, right? The weather's nice, you just feel good. There's a lot of moments throughout the year where the gym kind of gets a little bit of a spike in interaction and interest. So if that's the case, it's almost as though, I think it's not crazy to say that every one of those phases is essentially a new entrance exam into indoctrination of lifting. It doesn't have to be that serious, but that's kind of a funny way for me to think about it. So it's like, let's say 1,000 people in whatever given subsection of the world say, all right, it's January 1st, I'm getting real this year. What percentage give up in a week? What percentage give up in a day? What percentage say they're going to do it and then don't actually? It's a majority, right? But that's kind of classic, So I think that the ones who actually make it through, excuse me, the ones who actually make it, the ones who actually do what they're going to say, or at least do what they kind of mentally claim that they're going to do that year or that day or whatever, whether or not it's like a big drawn out thing where this has been a few years in the making, or if it was on a whim, well, those guys did it, right? Those guys are getting thrown down a different life path than they were before, and it can be pretty easily argued as groundbreaking, right? As life-changing. If somebody who's never going to work out before, somehow, some way, maybe they lost their wallet, and then the guy called the number and he said, hey man, you want to pick this up in a Planet Fitness lobby, or some random other kind of, I'm sure somebody has a crazy coincidence story that got them into the gym. They're a different guy afterward. It's as though it was just this one key moment that set, for some people, insane acts to be done. So I like, that's not most of the time. Usually it's, you watch a movie, you see one of your buddies start working out or whatever. Usually that's the logic. You just start working out. It just kind of happens. Maybe even on a whim. You get a lot of guys who end up getting insanely far in the space. I'm talking accolades. I'm talking championship. I'm talking everything. A lot of the time they didn't even start working out for any particular reason. They just kind of felt like it. They said, I think I want to start working out, or whatever reason they started was not at all the reason what they're, respective to the results that they got afterward. Because there is no barrier to entry. You can start working out just because whether or not you just want to start getting in better shape, or you're going, look man, I'm going to be the next Mr. O. Boom, that's what I'm aiming for. That's essentially the scale of 0 to 100 in terms of like whatever. Not as if it's like a hierarchical thing, but there's a lot of different motivation. But the fact that it all gets funneled into essentially the same thing, showing up to the same gym, usually lifting the same weights, using the same cardio equipment, looking in the same mirrors at your progress. Well, it doesn't really matter what the point of it is for you. You're part of this group, whether you like it or not. And whether you think it's a little cheesy how much of a meathead some guys can be, and you're like, oh, well, I'm not like I don't lift like that. Like, I just lift to stay in shape or whatever. Like, whether you like it or not, you're in. And once you're in, you're really never out. Because even if you stop working out, even when guys take months off or years off, or they get out of the swing of things, deep down, and this is only speculation, I've never had this situation for me, but I'm sure if somebody was a total beast, or at least a relative beast, and they stop working out, they get out of the groove of things, guess what? Time will pass, and that time will eventually draw them back. You're never done. There's never a moment where you say, I'm never working out again. It will always itch at you. Now, of course, that's a guess. That's kind of what I'm imagining it would be like. But from what I've heard, that's always the case of guys where it's, the so and this, and I got this job and whatever, and my priorities got changed up. But at least, I mean, maybe it's different on the girl side of things, but for guys, there's just something about it. There's just something about weights. There's just something about watching a freaking, compilation of Rocky or just whatever. It's it's just like a primal thing. We'll lift something heavy and feel good by doing it. That's as deep as it needs to get for anybody. But for me, I have now done that, what I would describe as successfully. So I get to go home, eat a big ass bowl of egg whites with some fat-free cheese mixed in, maybe a little something else on the side, not exactly sure what, and then just keep on track, keep freaking moving. So I'll see you tomorrow for some legs.